doing like recycling education or stuff like that, that really any number of folks can do. And, I think the point is that when you start dealing with large energy systems, even stuff that wouldn't occur to most of us, such as when you use your, the time of day you use power, for example. Folks with full-scale professional understanding of energy systems can recognize cost savings that would escape anybody else in this room. And folks that hire sustainability coordinators or that enter into third-party contracts with ESCOs, essentially. You had to spend money to bring somebody in to do this stuff, but across the board, folks save way more money than they spend up front. At the beginning of the year, we discussed this in terms of whether or not it makes more sense to hire an in-house sustainability coordinator or to enter into a third-party contract where the cost savings are actually guaranteed in the contract. That's what Frankfort Independent Schools have done recently, for example. They've entered into that third-party contract. And it's that third-party contract sounds pretty attractive on the face of it, because the way it works is, they come in, do an analysis, give you an idea of what you can do to realize energy savings and how long it would take for that to pay for itself, and then break into the black. And they guarantee the cost savings, so that if you end up not saving as much money as you spend, they actually cover the difference. So it's literally no risk for the city. That's attractive on the face of it. But the catch is that these companies never actually have to, they never actually had to pay out that money, because the cost savings are always substantively more than the money spent in the first place. And essentially there's gold and then there are hills, and so these folks are able to profit by doing this. And when you contract with a third party with an ESCO, the arrangement is risk-free for the city, but the profit leaves the city in that regard. So we get the energy saving stuff, and we get to feel good about saving energy, but we actually don't realize the significant cost savings until 10, 15 years down the line, after they skimmed the cream off the top. It costs a little bit more up front to hire somebody to do that work in-house. So when you do it in-house, and this is all per the presentation we heard a year ago, and when you do the work in-house, then all of the cost savings and all the profit stays in-house as well. And so to my mind, this is, as much as anything, a fiscal issue. If we can spend $50,000 to save $150,000, that's I still, as per I think the will of the majority a year ago, still think that's a no-brainer. I agree that it would be nice to do this in coordination with other agencies. But in terms of the bang we get for our buck, I'd say it's just as effective, if not more so, just to have our own person in-house anyways. Part of my interest in working with other agencies on this is really as a matter of principle and establishing the bridges, and it's just nice to coordinate with a local utility in particular if you're working on this kind of thing. But I'd still be in favor of us just hiring this person in-house. And it's worth noting that that the money that we budgeted for this has gone unspent for half of the year it was budgeted for, and that was enough to pay for essentially half the position. Which is to say that we've got money in the budget to hire a full-time sustainability coordinator for the rest of the fiscal year. For what that's worth. We're not making a budget amendment or anything. It's already there. Because they would only be working for 4 or 5 months instead of a full 12. And that would give us some time then to reassess and decide whether or not it does make sense to outsource them to other agencies that are interested, or to keep them or never or whatever. But either way, this has been a priority of the Commission for a year, and we need to do something.
Oh, you've got to leave the meeting? Oh, okay. That's fine. Then Tom's going to stay?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
I didn't know what that signal
Okay, though. I just got a quick question. When was the last time that we've had a discussion with our partners on this and to see if are they flat out saying they're not interested?
September, October,
And you had the,
and then the plant board, it was more recent than that. It was in December, actually.
oh really?
Well, November, I'm sorry, November. Because the plant board never, they didn't even pass the resolution.
I think that is a pretty clear signal from the plan board that they were no longer interested.
I mean, they're the ones who, the presentation.
The makeup of the plant board has changed by the bit since they agreed to it.
And then the city, the county passed a resolution, but it was watered down quite a bit. It was changed. And
Include mention of it? Did they take out the coordinator?
I don't know.
I think it was like the word funding.
Is that right? They definitely took that.
Just continue.
The majority wants to go ahead and, pursue this. We've still got we had a real good panel of volunteers who helped us write a job description, professional volunteers. And, it's the will of the board and the majority wants to go forward. We can resurrect that job description.
I'm always just not feeling we should hire a person. I feel the budget restraints that we're going to have, I know we got some in the budget right now. And once you start on an effort and we get someone in, usually it's become bigger. In my experiences, I think that since we've had the University of Louisville report, we've had Henry Jackson, who's stated that he feels that our city is probably doing more than most cities are doing. The department heads, city manager, are cognizant of the need for having energy efficiency. And I think the size of our town, not a small town. That's where I stand. I'm in a minority many times on this, so.
My thoughts on this is I think that the sustainability coordinator is important. I've seen the good work that they've been able to do in other cities. I know that the work, particularly with the partnership with the Green City in Louisville, has been well recognized across not only the southeast but throughout the country for their efforts there and cutting down excess energy use. Ideally, I would like to share this position because the models that I have seen, that is what has been done. But at the same time, I feel like that there is a need for a sustainability coordinator here. I guess for where I stand at is I would personally like to go forward with it, but I also want to get a final yay or nay from our community partners to see if they're willing to jump on board. Because I think that it not only behooves us to do that, but it behooves the whole community to have somebody who's looking at all of our needs and issues.
Would it be reasonable for us to communicate to our potential partners, to communicate to the plant board and to the fiscal court that we need to know whether or not they're in or out, so that we can know whether or not we need to even deliberate a full-time hire? I don't think we need to get to the deliberation until we know whether or not it's a new point.
We can do that. Can you do that? Yeah. We can do that.
If I can, Mayor, I have a couple things I want to say about the priorities, and then of course I'll be ready to move on. There are two things that I want to see kept as priorities for us moving forward. One is to build strategic partnerships. I think that's something that we have to continually do, and we have to find new avenues and new ways to do that. You talked about smart cities, and I think that that's something that's integral into a smart city, is a city that works with their state university and with their other governments there, because oftentimes we serve the same populace. And then finally, I'd like to ensure that we keep support for a strong arts community, particularly with an emphasis on public art. I think a lot of the things that we've seen certain tidbits throughout the community, particularly down by the old Y on the railroad crossing, where we've seen public art demonstrated there. We need more of that, and that's something low cost and affordable, something that we can do pretty quickly. And we can also do it in concert with working with our community partners, working with art students at Kentucky State or art students at Franklin County Public Schools or Franklin Independent. We have a wealth of talent here, and we can really utilize that. Furthermore, if you have a display of public art, it also forces, or not only forces, but encourages people to be more vested in the community that they're at, and want to stay and retain that knowledge and creativity here. So I think that's something that we should certainly keep on there as well. It's something as a commissioner that I'm going to be working hard on in the next year to see what possibilities and opportunities we have to really emphasize that in this community.
And for me, I too want to think supporting a strong arts community, not just visual, but all forms. And I would also like to keep support for the Parks and Recreation, not an aquatic center, but an indoor recreation center. That could be multi-purpose, that could be rented out. Frankfort lacks year-round fitness. Granted, this year's been a little warm, you can go out to the parks and walk, but when you get the winter and you got 18 inches of snow, it'd still be nice to know that I could go somewhere if there's a walking track, if I could play indoor tennis, if it's basketball, if it's just knowing I have a place I can take my kids and let them run around for a couple hours. I would still like to support an indoor recreation center.
I wouldn't mind following up on the garbage discussion a little bit. And I don't know that we need to go into closed session anymore to discuss this. You know, I guess we had a conversation with the county and directed staff a few months ago to actually, you know, work out the details of a partnership with the county at the end of November. And unless there were any private interested parties, the deadline apparently got extended. I think we learned that last month. And I'm curious to know where things stand. If we don't have somebody on the hook, then we're what we, I think, all agreed a few months ago. Do something.
I got in on the last, are we talking about the parking garage? We have had numerous people who expressed interest in it, and one by one they've examined it and then decided against making an offer. Are we proper to speak in public? Okay. The latest person who expressed interest in it told me right before this meeting that he has planned to have a engineer come in Thursday or Friday to look at the upper deck, to examine the extent of damage and to give him some options for the upper deck of the garage. But, however, he's not strongly interested in it, and he said if there are other options that the commission could pursue those options and it would not hurt his feelings. So we've had a lengthy time of trying to find a good solution for renovating the garage. And of course it's been closed now for more than 6 years, as I understand. So it's incurred additional damage, and it has been damp. It has had some leaks and things that have occurred while it's closed up, and it's got some mold present. Mr. Hackmark and Mr. Bradley have talked with a company about doing an assessment of the extent of the mold, because there are many different kinds of mold. Some molds are, very harmful to the public health. Some are rather benign, but none of them are aesthetically pleasing. And so the presence of mold is something that we had, as a staff, had decided that we would like to address, or it's not going to be not going to appear as a good, purchase to any buyer if they go in there and it's full of mold. And so then we have resurrected or put together all the information for a report tonight that we had planned to give. And you have that?
That's going to, it's my understanding that was going to be part of the discussion in closed session, because we were going to talk about potential sale of the parking garage.
Well, that's why when I got in on the tail end of that, I didn't know how I legally should go into any of that, or if we should go into closed session.
It's up to the commission, certainly, as to whether or not to go into closed session or stay in open session, but we were going to discuss issues that concern the potential sale of the parking garage, which may affect the price that the city would be able to obtain and sell the parking garage. All of it, or just an interest?
I personally would, we know what we're talking about. We won't be dealing with the parking garage. And we know we have to make some kind of resolution as quickly as prudently as possible. And I would be in favor of going into closed session to discuss these things. I don't know, the rest of you know.
I mean, at this point, I would prefer that we just discuss it publicly. But I'll hear the will of the commission.
President.
Pardon?
President.
Bill?
I don't want to hurt the
Commissioner?
potential for, I don't want to hurt the opportunity to get more price-wise.
Are you saying go into closed session?
I'm fine to go into closed session because of the
Mr. Turner.
sale.
I'm fine to go into closed session, but I do want the people that are, that will be watching this or the newspaper to know that this is an issue that we are seriously, aggressively going after and trying to deal with, and we will have a resolution of this one way or the other. And that's one of the reasons why we have it on our agenda to do.
And we still got one little thing before we go to closed session. And that's review of the ordinances.
I think it was in September that the commission had a work session and talked about several ordinances or parts of ordinances that they would like to see addressed. We came up with a rather long list of 39 specific items, and I think, you know, we could address some of these simultaneously. If the commission wanted to tell us, you know, several that they'd like us to go ahead and work on, we can research those. I think, you know, if we just look at the whole list, we might not really make progress. We might just, so if we could target some things and go ahead and finalize those, we could finish some of the items.
If I may, Mayor, Mr. Manager, a couple on here that I certainly want us to explore and possibly move on. One is the Human Rights Commission. That's something that a number of other communities are doing. I'd like to do that in partnership with the county. I'm also interested in particularly the Renters' Bill of Rights. I think that sort of makes sense. And then also, I think that based on our discussions and all our ordinance,
What number?
I'm sorry, number 3, also something that makes sense.
Commissioner Bates?
I guess for me, number 8, which deals with fireworks. I didn't really
Number 8.
make a list because I'm not, I'll come back if I need to.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Yes. Some of them, I guess, can be done by the department heads that asked for them. Some of them, planning and zoning asked for. I know Mr. Hackard asked for the definition of gravel.
What number are you speaking?
Number 2 is one that Jeff Hackard had asked for,
Yes.
one that he can do. Number 3 was, I believe, asked by Chief Cossage, the alarm ordinance, which is something that he and his staff can do. I was 2 would like to see number 8. Number 12, which is incentives for riverfront and home street development. I think 16 has already started to be looked at, correct the 4-day work weeks in some departments. I would like number 6 to really be looked at as well, the compensatory time for a wellness program participation, to add that in with whoever we discuss with. Or if it's nobody, it's just ourselves setting that standard for our staff. And number 22, I think, is one that needs to be looked at, is season licensing fees. That you can open an antique store with a $50 licensing fee for a business, or for $50 an antique store, but you can do $25, you can sell guns. Those are the main ones I would like to get looked at.
Okay, Commissioner Waller.
My sense is that some of these items are very simple and can simply be greenlit or even just done like that. Others would require more discussion. In terms of stuff that we could pretty much just do, my sense is that we could pretty much just do the first 3, which is, limit positions in regards to board appointments. I'd be in favor of limiting folks to serving on 2 boards. I assume staff already have a definition in mind when it comes to gravel. And I assume also that the staff already have an ordinance in mind in regards to an alarm ordinance. And so I'd be happy to go ahead and green light, you know, those three things for our approval. In terms of stuff that would require some discussion. Oh, another thing that could just be done, it's number 21. I mean, we could just change the name of a massage parlor. That doesn't require much discussion.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I think from some prior discussion, was also the fee for that, was that a concern? Or?
21 tied in with number 22. 21 was just something I pointed out while going through that big ordinance book.
Okay.
It's massage parlors written in under the licensing fee. Like it's just one of those.
22 really is already forming the discrepancies in license fees. And I'll just go ahead and throw this out on the table. There are umpteen different approaches to licensing fees, and one philosophy is that licensing fees can be punitive or even discouraging. Mm-hmm. So like fortune tellers, for example, have to pay a $1,500 licensing fee, right, to operate for one day. And that's obviously, that's not so that we can reap profit from all the fortune tellers in the city, that's to discourage people from doing it. When you're talking about a legal business between consenting adults like that, one city had a really great suggestion in regards to fortune telling, actually, which is that they pay the same license fee as anybody else, but legally you're allowed to claim a refund if your fortune proves inaccurate. That's beside the point.
Shake the magic 8 ball first.
I would be in favor of streamlining the licensing process. There's a problem that folks in our finance department have to deal with sometimes right now. In fact, Steve, would you mind talk license fees for a second?
Sure.
My understanding is that so to get a business license, $35 to do business locally. There's a separate $25 license for folks who come in from out of town. And my understanding is that those licenses are one is renewed on a calendar year and one is renewed on a fiscal year.
Right.
And so it's
very confusing.
It's really confusing, and so lots of folks who do business from out of town, who come into town to work, pay one fee or the other, thinking that that puts them in compliance, not realizing that there's a license fee they have to get every 6 months. So not only do they have to pay $60 to operate in the city when everybody else has to pay $35, but the confusion leads to a lot of delinquency. And so leads to a lot of revenue that isn't even being collected to us, and it's not even people trying to get in the system in a lot of cases. It's just confusing and hard to understand. So it seems like we could make everything a lot easier for everybody by requiring just one license to do business in the city, by making it the same fee by requiring one license and making it the same fee for everybody. Seems like that'd be easier on our staff. Seems like we'd have less delinquency. Make it easier to do business. That's one of our priorities anyway, right? Just make it more user-friendly. So that's one thing I'd be really happy to go ahead and I assume you all even probably already have some ideas.
Yeah, we talked about it. Actually, we were going to make a proposal a year ago. Actually, I had a proposal ready to go, but because we installed the new software system that we had, I don't know if you remember last year, we installed a new software system because we lost one of our employees, so we tried to streamline everything. Just couldn't focus on it, and we need to really sit out and some literature and train taxpayers